Man, I thought the Tampa Bay Lightning were going to come home, tied 2-2. I thought this series had shifted with the Florida Panthers. Lightning had a 2-1 lead, and then with the span of 11 seconds, remember that time, 11 seconds had a lot to do with this game. The Florida Panthers scored twice, and they wind up winning this game with an empty netter, 4-2. I've never seen such a. I mean, it just seemed like such a sudden switch of fortunes there. Everything that had transpired to that point made it feel like they're going to get out of Sunrise and they're going to even this series and they're going to have all the momentum that they need coming back to Tampa. Now they can't lose another game. They've got to win 3 in a row to win the series. And I don't know what the odds say when you're down 3-1, but it can't be good. There's so many elements in this game, not the least of which is sort of the cheap shotting that goes on by the Florida Panthers. And one hit in particular, Aaron Ekblad's hit that knocked out Brandon Hagel, was not called. And Ekblad should have been probably run from the game. He winds up, scoring the tying goal?
That's correct.
And with 3:47 left. Should have been out of the game. And then Seth Jones scores 11 seconds later. And then you had an empty netter by Carter Verhaeghe. But they have let so much go in this series and have gotten so much wrong. First of all, I don't know why a hit like that isn't reviewable. You got a guy down on the ice. He never came back, clearly concussed. Like there's certain plays in other sports that they would look at, to see if there was some kind of infraction that they missed. They do it in college basketball. Is it a flagrant foul? All this kind of stuff. But that doesn't happen in the, head-hunting NHL. And I'll tell you, I came away – I've watched Florida quite a bit these last few years because they're always playing Tampa Bay. That's a dirty team. That team
extremely
is extremely cheap shots. Even their best players are taking runs at people and doing it to hurt other players. I mean, there's no other intent when you throw an elbow across a guy's face and he slams his head in the back of the ice, or when you board somebody like they have, it is only there to hurt the other player. And that's just their game. Like that is almost accepted with the Florida Panthers. And
it's accepted in the sport.
Yeah.
And it's a problem.
It is.
Other leagues have figured out, hey, when our stars play, we make more money, ratings are better, everything's better. Mm-hmm. The game's better, the quality of play, everything's better.
Right.
The NHL is like, yeah, we don't need that. That's all right. Do what you want. Like, I don't understand a league that's okay with look, hockey, there's hitting, there's skating, there's going to be hits, there's going to be injuries. But when you're blatantly targeting guys,
the
Mikkola hit on Gergensen's, absolutely targeted him. He's down on the ice, and then you go hit him. And he got the 5-minute major and game misconduct, and most likely will be suspended. We'll see. Because the question is, will they suspend 2 defensemen for Game 5?
Probably not.
Because Ekblad, if you look at it, sees it's Brandon Hagel, who they're ticked at. Yeah. Then he cocks his arm back and goes forward right for the head.
Yeah, he wound up with his elbow.
That's premeditated. That's
absolutely.
I'm going to hurt this guy. Right. Not I'm checking him. I'm going to hurt him.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And the official's looking right at it and didn't blow a whistle.
There's 2 of them. And if you want to say one might have been screened, the other one has a dead aim at him.
Yep.
And does nothing. No whistle, no arm in the air, nothing. And I'm sorry, you can't let a team play that way. Mm-hmm. Now, when they did it, the Lightning answered back and scored, a couple of goals within 11 seconds, which
they got ticked off.
There's that time. But for the first time in this series, I really saw them. You saw Cooper's fire on the bench, and you saw the fire they played with on the ice. That seemed to ignite this team, and I thought it was going to lead them to a victory. But that's the way they need to play, is the way they did after that hit on Hagel. They've been pushed around way too much in this series, and most of it is illegal hits. Ironically, it's a Tampa Bay player that got suspended in this series so far. That might change. But Florida's style of play is to be the bully. Obviously, to go right up to and or cross the line. No one's making them pay in the NHL right now. and they're going to win this series as a result of it. Like, they're going to win this series not for skill or skating or, shot making or anything that. They're going to win it because they were able to bully the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, and the league for years has let this stuff go on, and they continue to.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to want to change it.
Nope.
And yet you get stars hurt over and over and over again.
Yeah. Remember, they're trying to take the head out of the game? Really? I mean, that's the other thing. Like, if that's your intent, and it should be with all the concussions, and we know what, happens to these brains when they get enough concussions. But if that's your intent, you have the technology, the game's on TV, slow it down. And if a guy gets hurt and you're not sure, go review the play, man. You review offsides. You can't review a guy taking a forearm, loading it back, cocking it, and ripping a guy across the jaw.
Well, speaking of that, those officials tonight couldn't even get that call right.
It's true.
Not just one, two guys way offsides, and they don't blow a whistle.
That's true.
Like, those weren't even close. Like, there's sometimes did that skate hang over just enough, and so you don't blow the whistle because you don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I get that. Those two were blatantly offsides. It was obvious watching it live, even on TV. I know Dave Mishkin live said it was offside too on the radio. And, I mean, they couldn't even get that right tonight.
No, they were terrible. I don't know what they were doing on the ice because they weren't calling any games. They were just terrible. And it's hard to beat a team on the road when you don't have.
It is, but in all fairness too, to me that game was lost when you had a 5-minute power play and did nothing on the power play.
That's true.
Absolutely, their power play has been putrid this series.
Yeah,
they've scored one and then they've been 0 for 14 since, and not even getting shots.
And along those lines, the guy that's been a ghost is Nikita Kucherov.
Well, they're all over him, and the Lightning have made no adjustments to it.
Okay, how do you get? That's a great question. Then how do you get the smoke away from Kucherov?
Well, then let someone else quarterback. Why isn't Hedman quarterbacking the power play instead?
Yeah,
like they're taking away Kucherov. Period. So do something different.
Somebody else has to beat him.
You haven't been able to figure it out. Do something different.
Yeah.
I mean, missing Hagel absolutely hurt. Being down to 10 forwards at the end of the game. Maybe they were tired as well. But
they had some defensive lapses in the game, though, too. Like they
took the icing. That led to that first goal.
Right.
They took the icing, and the second goal was a fluke. It went off McDonough, blocked it, and went off him through Vassar.
Yeah.
But if you don't take the icing beforehand, you don't get the defensive zone face-off with you're stuck in your own end.
Right.
Maybe that tying goal doesn't happen. And
that's right.
That's a mental mistake by the Lightning, and that cost them.
Yep.
The Lightning have been in every. I mean, game one, okay, maybe not, but every other game they've been in. But the mental lapses is stuff we haven't seen all year from this team.
I mean, just guys in front of the net standing alone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, the pass that the Rat makes, with there's like 4 Lightning players and Marchand.
Yeah, 3 were in the corner. Both defensemen and Nick Paul.
And the dude that winds up scoring is just sitting there in front of the crease with nobody on him.
Yeah, Lusterine, another one. I mean, Chuck the other day was wide open in front of the net.
They just lose people. I mean, they leave them. It's just it's just blatant like mental errors on defense that's costing this team. And I mean, Vasilevsky's done. Look, he kept them in that game for a very long time, even with a 2-1 lead. Could he have stopped one of those? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think he's playing okay. I don't think he's like, playing out of this world or anything. But they're never in the lead, and they finally got another one, and it looked for all the world like they gave up.
Florida scored the first goal for the 4th straight game.
Yeah, 4th straight game. Yeah. But Lightning come back.
Yeah, they come back.
2 goals in 11 seconds.
It's frustrating because the Lightning did a lot of good things.
They did. They really did. Up until the last 3.5 minutes, man, they're right there. They're doing exactly what they needed to do. They just couldn't choke them out. They couldn't finish.
John Cooper said, and I'm paraphrasing, but we lost the first 2 at home, put ourselves in a bad spot.
That's right.
We come down to Sunrise, and for 115 minutes,
we're back
everything
in
we
it.
needed to do.
Yeah.
But then you give up the 2 goals late, 3 with the empty netter,
and it ruins it. Yeah.
And now you go down 3-1 instead of 2-2 back home.
Totally different series. This mountain is too high to climb. I know, you can't win 3 of them, in another night from now, but you have no room for error. And Florida's too good of a team and too good of a champion, to lose 3 straight, including at least 1 at home.
Well, you get 2 of those at home. 2 of those 3 games that you have to win are at home.
That's true. You got to win 1. If you get to 3-2, maybe,
3-2, then you go back to Sunrise.
Put a little more heat on them in Sunrise.
And you put the pressure on them because they don't want to have to get on a plane to come back to Tampa.
Right.
The next day.
We can do the math. I mean, they can get there, but it's such a tough mountain. And you wonder how long a game like this, you don't have long to flush it, but you wonder how, being ahead 2-1 and then losing it in the way they did. And then look, Hagel scored 35 goals this year. He had over 90 points. Like, you can't just take a guy like that out of the lineup because somebody decided to throw a forearm shiver at him.
Well, and that's the bigger thing is, will he be available for Game 5?
I don't know that he will. He did not return. He was never back on the bench. I assume he's concussed. Most of the time, if that's the case, it takes more than a couple days to get cleared from protocol to go do that job,
He's concussed, or they just wanted to take precautions.
Perhaps.
They weren't certain, and so
perhaps.
That's what you don't know.
That would be the best case scenario. But if you don't have Braden Point, I mean, that's going to cut in further.
Well, you have Point. You have Hagel.
I'm sorry. If you don't have Hagel, then that's going to cut further into your scoring. It's pretty dark.
You gave 1 Game 3 without Hagel, but
yeah, but it's pretty dark. It's not. This was a swing game. This was a momentum builder if the Lightning got it, and it's going to linger. But you don't have time. You don't have time to dwell on it. I mean, that's the one thing about this hockey and about the sport in general is you got to flush it pretty quick because you're playing, another night from now. So, well, maybe the crowd gets behind them. If they could score once, that would be nice. And I'm sorry, I know that they're not giving Nikita Kucherov any room or time or space to shoot or make plays, but the greatest players in hockey show up during the postseason, and they get plenty of attention from the other team. You have to find a way. He has to find a way to be, to help them score, whether he's scoring himself or he's setting somebody up. You can't just let them take out your best player.
Well, but that's ultimately what every team's trying to do in the playoffs. The ones that win typically take out the other team's best players.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why third lines are so important in the playoffs. A lot of times your top 2 lines cancel each other out. Who's got the better third line?
Right.
When the Lightning won the Cups, it was the Gord, Gaudreau, Coleman line.
Yeah.
That nobody could stop because you're trying to take out Kucherov's line and Point's line and Cirelli's line. And then you throw that line out there that can do everything. And that's where that team was so deep and could any situation could match up with you because they didn't care which of the top 3 lines they put out there in any situation. Not 1 or 2. And that's the difference of a team with depth. But, the Lightning, for 115 minutes in Sunrise, did a lot of great things. It's a shame they're not coming back 2-2.
Yeah, they just didn't get rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm. They get the icing call, and then it went downhill from there. But really, I mean, losing Hagel hurt, and being down to 10 forwards that third period may have hurt some of it too. Your forwards are getting a lot of shifts, more than you're used to.
Right.
But then not converting on the 5-minute power play. I mean, you have a chance to bury them with a goal or 2 or 3. Because a 5-minute major, you stay on the power play.
Yeah, you're on the ice, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You score, they don't come out of the box. They stay there.
Here's the thing, they didn't get it. I don't think they got a shot.
They had 1 shot on the power play tonight.
I mean, that's terrible.
In 7 minutes of power play time?
Yeah, it's awful.
That's not good enough.
No, not against a team like that.
Now, granted, Florida only got 1 shot on the power play in 6 minutes of power play time, so
yeah,
somewhat similar, but.
So people ask the question, right? Is it a collapse or a comeback? I think that's a collapse, in my opinion. 2-1 with
you should be able to lock
4
that game
minutes
down.
To go. That game's got to finish.
Yeah. You should be able to lock that game down.
Yeah,
The game-winning goal was kind of fluky because it went off McDonough.
It was, yeah, it was.
But you shouldn't have given up the tying goal,
right?
And then you had the empty netter. I mean, it was really a 1-goal game, but
it's a 1-goal game, no doubt. But Forget what the scoreboard says. Just to carry that entire period like that and get inside 4 minutes and then give it up was bad. So what is this? Let's jump ahead of ourselves a little bit here. Is it just that this is Florida's time, that Florida is just a little step quicker, a little bit nastier, a little bit grittier? The goaltender's a little better in this situation. Like, what is it?
I don't know if Bobrovsky's been that great. I don't know. I don't think the Lightning have challenged him.
They haven't challenged him. But,
I mean,
but what is it right now? Because if the Lightning get knocked out, that's 3 years in a row that they've been one and done in the postseason. Correct. So what would have to change? I mean, I know he gets plenty of attention, but I mean, they got goals from guys like Cirelli and guys that they don't exactly look to get goals from.
Chafee?
Yeah, Chafee. I mean, that was, if you had that on your bingo card.
Well, let's not forget, Florida's a defending champion. Like,
no, I know they're great.
This is not just a good team.
Every team that wins this first round series the last 4 or 5 years has gone to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, 2 years ago, the Lightning were ousted by Toronto. It wasn't Florida, but
that's right. But I mean, when they play each other, it usually means that whoever wins is going to advance and do well.
Right.
So it's a huge opponent, and it's in the first round, which is unfortunate for the Lightning. But by the same token, you keep going one and done in the postseason, man. This is going to get old pretty fast.
Like the shame of the playoff format, and some like it, some don't, is that it's designed to create rivalries within your division. Right? That's why they're always playing Toronto or Boston or Florida, which
is fine. But now we've established those rivalries. Do you have to?
Well, but so the NHL likes, Gary Bettman particularly likes this format. Instead of seeding the conference 1 through 8, you're seeding it basically by division 1 through 3, and then you have 2 wild cards.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do it the other way. I mean,
the shame of it, the hard part is unlike the NFC South per se in football.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Division has the best group of teams at the top in hockey and have for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
In Boston this year wasn't good, but before that, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, Florida have been dominating hockey for 6 or 7 years now. And they're just beating each other up in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
But it's supposed to be cyclical. No one division is supposed to be that dominant.
Those 4 teams have, when you look at the end of every season, they're generally 4 of the top 10 teams point-wise in hockey. Now, this year, Boston fell off, and they're not as good. But that's what's happened is those 4 teams are really, really good, and they're all playing in the first 2 rounds and eliminating each other.
Yeah, that sucks. I'd rather go back to
if you like the rivalries, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Toronto or Tampa, Florida is a first-round match. It's a shame
should be a final.
It's a shame that Dallas, Colorado is a first-round matchup in the West.
It's another hell of a matchup, yeah.
Those are 2 tremendous teams that finished 2nd and 3rd in their division, and they're playing now.
Yeah.
It's a shame because that would be a great Western Conference final matchup.
I would think that the NHL would be about trying to ensure or give advantage to the best teams that you want. You want your best teams to end up in the Stanley Cup final. Why wouldn't you just tilt the scale a little bit in their favor?
So like you said, Bettman likes the rivalries.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's not 100% guaranteed, but it almost guarantees you 1 team from each division in the conference finals. It doesn't absolutely, because wild cards can be different. Like there's 5 teams from the Atlantic made it this year. So the Canadians are playing in the Metro kind of foursome.
Right.
So if the Canadians won that, it would eliminate the Metro. But assuming one of the top 3 teams in the division win that kind of pod, if you think NCAA tournament, pods of 4 teams, if the top 3 teams win it, then basically you have 1 team from each division in the conference finals.
Mm.
I don't know if that's what they want. That's what the result pretty much is. And they like the repeat. The Toronto or I keep saying it, Tampa, Florida series has a lot of bitterness to it.
Yeah, because they meet each other in the postseason all the time.
NHL likes that.
Yeah.
I think they like the physical play, including some of the over-the-line stuff. I think they like that, and I don't get that part.
because that's the sport. That's what it's been for so long, for years and years and years. They should change it. I mean, but
I don't understand why you're okay letting stars get hurt because of bad plays. Like, look, injuries happen. Like, guys going in a corner and
you're on ice
happens.
for God's sakes.
Yeah.
At that highest speed, anything can happen.
But when you're making moves with intent to injure, not legit,
you should
plays,
not be allowed to play. Period.
You should be suspended for a lot more than they ever suspend.
Yeah, I don't think you have a place in the playoffs, much less the game.
But I always think it's funny, and I'm different than a lot of people in basketball, whether it's college or NBA. I know in college they've talked about, these kids are fouling out with 5 fouls. We need to increase it to 6 fouls per person.
Yeah.
My answer is no. It should be 4 fouls and you're fouled out. Like, let's stop fouling.
Teach them how to stop fouling and play defense.
Yeah. Like, instead, let's make it 4 fouls and you're out so you stop fouling. Like, that would be a better brand of basketball.
Now it's not a free throw shooting contest. You can actually play the game.
Right. That's a better brand of basketball. Let's go up and down the court.
I agree.
The Four Nations face-off was fantastic. It was physical, but there was no cheap shots going on in that. And it was fantastic hockey.
Yep.
That's what hockey should be.
Right.
The Olympics will be great next year. There's not going to be a lot of hitting because there's no fighting and everything else. There'll be some checking, but it'll be great hockey. I don't understand why we're okay beating each other up with bad plays and there's no consequence to it. Matthew Tkachuk knew the other night, go ahead, throw me out. We're down 4 goals with 5 minutes to play. This game's over. Throw me out. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let me go hurt somebody.
It was a calculus.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, though. That's the element that really bothers me about Florida is, look, they have a lot of talent. They're Stanley Cup champions, all of that. But they play with intent. And the intent is not just to be physical. It's to hurt. It's to take you out of the series. And that should not continue in the NHL. Like that part of it. And I do wonder, guys, they answered the right way, right? Like Cooper was fired up and after they, knocked their player out, they come back and they score a couple goals and go ahead, 2 goals within 11 seconds. And, Cooper's over there losing his mind. He's pumping his fist, going up and down the bench. He's going crazy, But for that moment in time, in real time, probably a couple of minutes, but just 11 seconds off the clock, they got pissed off and they matched and exceeded Florida's intensity. The question is, does it take a guy getting knocked out to get there? To get yourselves fired up to play this team? Because it definitely went up. The intensity definitely went up.
It definitely went up. But I didn't. I thought they played pretty well to start the game. And I mean, Florida had chances. Tampa Bay had chances.
Yeah.
They lost the coverage on the first goal and sent 3 guys to the corner. And
yeah, that's a bad play.
Yeah, that was a bad play. But overall, I didn't think they.
They didn't lay an egg. No, listen. They played well enough to win, but then didn't. It was tragic. It really was. It was tragic to see how it ended. If you're a Lightning fan at all, and you had to watch that juxtaposition of we're gonna win. It's under 4 minutes, and then boom, boom, boom.
But players use things to galvanize themselves all the time. Like a slight, a comment. An action on the field.
The greater the player, the more thin-skinned they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Lightning used that they did ramp up their intensity. Scored the 2 goals in 11 seconds.
Yeah. You just like to bottle that and play that way every minute. But
like I said, it was the power play, the 5-minute power play that cost them this game.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to bury your chances. And more than that, I don't even know that they got a shot, Steve. Did they get a shot? Maybe one during that sequence?
I don't remember which power play they got the shot on because it was so unremarkable.
Right. But they're not even getting shots.
No, I mean, that's the thing. They're trying to pass the puck around into the net. And against some teams, you can do that. A team like Florida that's pressuring you the way they are, you're going to have to figure out something else. Get a greasy goal. Get a dirty goal.
Yeah, man. Get some rebounds. There might be one there for you.
Create some chaos in front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how good Bobrovsky's been in the series because the Lightning haven't challenged him that much.
They haven't tried, no.
He hasn't faced a lot of grade A chances.
They need to park somebody right in front of them, though, and hope that you get a rebound and make it physical down there for him and tough to see and all that, Disappointing loss, man. This one of those good thing the ride home isn't far, but you're gonna wear this for a while.
Well, you're going to wear it for less than 48 hours because you're playing.
Yeah, you got to go back on the ice and do something about it. But
and you're on home ice.
Yeah, but home ice didn't mean crap to them in the first two games.
It didn't. But if you play the way you did for 115 minutes,
no, the last
home ice will help.
The last two games they played well enough to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they do that again more often than not. They're going to get a result. More often than not, if you got that lead and you're playing that well, you're going to walk out of there a winner if it's under 4 minutes. But didn't happen, man. Florida, you got to kill the champion, man. You got to step on them. And they weren't able to do it. So series comes back to Tampa. We'll see if they want to continue their season as well as the series. It's going to be big. Hey, we'll get into the Rays coming off a great road trip where they went 5-1, I believe.
Yes, and winning 5 straight.
Yeah, 5 in a row. They come back here red hot against Kansas City Royals. We'll talk about that in just a moment. First, get on down to Breitling Boutique for me, will you, please? These folks have been waiting for you at International Plaza Mall. They've been there for over 5 years. And the Breitling Company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 144 years. So if you've been to International Plaza Mall, and if you haven't, why? But if you go to the kind of like the center part of the mall and go upstairs, that's where you're going to find Breitling Boutique. And the customer service is second to none. They're used to dealing with NFL players. You probably see a Buccaneer or two in there, MLB players, celebrities. They're going to treat you the same way, just like the celebrity that you are. They got a great collection of men's and women's watches. For the men, the beautiful chronomats and the Navatimers. And with the chronomats, they're having a special celebration of the NFL's 104th year anniversary. They have all 32 teams represented with these exclusive team watches while supplies last. Have been going fast. This promotion began a long time ago. If you want to check out what the Bucks watch looks like, go on TampaBay.com. Probably see a picture of it up there. They've also got watches for your wife or your girlfriend. These are mostly, sport watches, and they're durable and they're beautiful, and they got all kinds of different colors, wristbands. She's going to love it. So it's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you get there, please let them know that you heard about all this on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So the Rays have their series coming up against the Royals back at Steinbrenner. Hopefully they can keep it going, even though they had an awful homestand before they went on this terrific road trip. That would be important for them. Hey, it's getting towards that time when you get your mailbag questions in. I've had a few trickle in unsolicited, but now we're going to ask you for them. You can send them to us on Twitter or X at SportsDayTV. You can reach me on Twitter or X at NFL Stroud, or my email address is rstroud@tampabay.com. Make sure you check out.
And don't worry, you can ask us about anything. So
was that? Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
Unlike Bill Belichick.
Oh, I was going to bring that. That was something we talked about. So if you didn't see the CBS Evening News interview, he wrote a book. Don't we all? And he wrote a book, and now he's trying to sell it. And so CBS came in and interviewed him at, I guess it was at North Carolina or Chapel Hill. And it's his girlfriend, not his wife, but his girlfriend, 24 years old, I believe.
Yes.
She sat in on the interview. Not only did she sit in on the interview, and they played this unedited clip at one point, she actually kind of was parsing what Bill was allowed to say, especially with regards to their relationship. There's a lot of interest, and this is what the interviewer said was like, look, there's a lot of interest between you and what's going on, with your 24-year-old girlfriend, and how did you guys meet? And she pipes up from the cheap seats, oh, we're not answering that. So fill in the blank, man. It was a weird moment. So I guess we found somebody that can tell Bill Belichick what to do, or what to say at least. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's
out of nowhere.
I don't. Of course, you haven't got questions like that before? The 70 whatever year old with the 24-year-old?
You would think. Like you need help.
Like even if you're lying about it, you'd have a story ready to go. If you don't want to tell the truth.
I met her on an airplane, or we were at a speed dating. I don't know. It just seems weird. Yeah, you should have something loaded up for that one. But she did not want the truth coming out, or anything for that matter. Like we're not answering that. And I would have said, well, I'm not talking to you anyway. I was asking him. But Belichick let it happen. Strange, too, that he won't talk about Bob Kraft at all, right? Like that one's, of course, Bob fired him, and I understand how that feels.
You don't know
to
what
get
was
fired.
said behind closed doors and everything else, too. So
perhaps it just is awkward. The whole interview was awkward. Bill's awkward. It's just weird.
I mean, that's probably part of it, too. Like, he's awkward.
Yeah, he's socially sort of cut off. I do want to read the book, though. I think it'd be a really good book. If you're into sports or coaching or anything like that, I'm sure there's some pretty good insights. I mean, the man has definitely been a winner throughout his career, but check it out. Anyway, hey, thanks for listening. As always, go help our friends out at Breitling Boutique, hook you up with a beautiful watch for your wife or your girlfriend, yourself. And hope you guys enjoy the podcast. We're here every Monday through Friday. Get your mailbag questions in. You can do that at NFL Stroud on Twitter, at SportsDay TV, or my email address is rstroud@tampabay.com. Thanks for listening. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud, the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.